Okay, it is 6 o'clock and we're ready to call the special meeting to order. And the first thing on the agenda is a roll call.
Tom Mikulek. Ruth Smith.
Here.
Jason Tate.
Here.
Andrea Zielinski.
Here.
Ellen Porter. And keep in mind, she's online right now. I'm going to go on with roll call. I can see her there. Katie Williams.
Here.
Zach Weiss.
Here.
Shelley Briggs Loosely.
Here.
And Ellen, are you able to hear us? She has indicated via text message that she is here.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. First thing on the agenda is our city manager recruitment brochure review and discussion. And John and Brian, it looks like you guys are ready to go.
All right, thanks everyone for coming in for the early start. As you know, the city manager is retiring at the end of June. So now's the time to discuss our recruitment profile. Council and department heads had an opportunity to spend some time with Brian Cosgrove talking about the position. And so you'll see a lot of that feedback incorporated into the final document that you've got. So I will pass it on to Brian.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Good to be back with you again. I was here April 21st and 23rd. I got the opportunity to interview each one of you as well as all of your department heads. You've had the profile now for, I think, since last Thursday, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday. So I'm really just here to answer any questions you might have about the profile. If there's any changes that we need to make, I'm happy to take those back and do those edits. And then our plan is to go live with this on May 19th to launch it. And it will be open for 5 weeks. First review would be June 28th with final interviews scheduled for August 2nd. There's some other interim steps in there that I'd be coming back for work sessions to talk about candidates with you, but those are kind of the big picture things. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the profile or the schedule or anything else that you might be wondering about. Thank you.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, I think it's fantastic. The only thing that I saw in here that I probably would like to have altered a little bit is we were actually known as the timber capital of the world for many decades, and so and then we became the national. Well, we were already national because we were the world, but that's the only thing that I see.
Is that something you all feel strongly about?
I just want to make sure we're correct. I just happened to look up here just to check, and it says nation, so I never heard it as a world, so I don't know. We just want to make sure we're accurate.
We used to celebrate it when we were in grade school and during Arbor Day and all of that kind of stuff, but it was something that was really special way back in the day.
Zach?
I was gonna say, I mean, if that's a verifiable thing, I'm totally okay with adjusting that. Otherwise, I think of the nation is totally fine.
I looked it up before I came in.
Okay.
Staff checking it real quick. We'll see. Anything else as they're looking at? Oh, I thought you were looking it up.
I checked.
You checked?
There's Timber Capital World and Timber Capital of the Nation. Sorry. It looks like it appears both ways.
Both ways?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Happy to make that change.
Everybody okay with that? Give me a nod of the heads if we're okay with world versus national. That makes us bigger.
I like national.
What's that?
I like nation.
National?
National.
Okay, well, give me a show of hands. Who wants world put on there? Give me hands if you want world put on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and nation is 2. So it'll be world. We're now bigger than we thought we were, or we learned something, one of the two. Okay. All right, anything else?
I have a little something. In our, whatever you call it, you talk about Charter Oak's urban growth boundary expansion in here. And it says in 225, the city successfully advocated for the state of Oregon to expand Roseburg's urban growth boundary by 290 acres. I think it might be better said if you said rather than expanding, altering, because I don't think we expanded the urban growth boundary. I think we just altered it. We exchanged some lands from the county and went to the city.
And Tom's correct about that. It was an exchange. It wasn't making it bigger. It traded properties, so. Pretty, yeah, pretty
Okay,
close.
I can make that change.
Make it, what, altered? Altered?
I have another matter to
Go ahead.
or relinquish. Just below that, there's homelessness. And it says, city is partnered with local nonprofit, Douglas County, to develop coordinated strategies to respond to the growing need. I'd like to see that respond to the growing problem. Just a change of words there. Because it is a problem. It is a need too, but.
Everybody, everybody see where he's talking about? The end of the sentence, you see it?
Yeah, I think
ahead,
need
Katie.
is a better word for it.
I had some help with this one, just because it's everywhere. You're not unique with the homelessness issue here, and we're trying to attract people. Most people that do the job that I used to do understand that it is an issue, and that resources do need to be applied. But I don't think you want to scare anyone away. That would be my professional advice to you.
How about calling it coordinated strategies to respond to the growing issue? I just don't like the word need in there. Anybody else have any suggestions?
I don't see any right now. Anybody else? There's need, there's issues. You want to leave it as need?
I think I would call it issues.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, if you want issues, raise your hand. If you want need, raise your hand. Okay, it'll be need.
What about problem?
I think we agreed it's going to be need.
Oh, I didn't hear you ask for substituting the word problem.
Okay, raise your hand if you want problem.
Thank you, Larry.
You bet, it'll be need. Okay. Anything else? Zach?
The only two things I have are in that section of opportunities and challenges. I feel like some of them are opportunities, some of them are challenges, and I think that even the ones that are challenges could be potentially worded as also opportunities. You know, the downtown parking as being one of those. Yes, that is an issue that we face, and we hear a lot of people vocalizing their issues with it, but it's also a part of the restoration that's happening downtown of an organization. There's a lot of things happening, so my only thought would be, is there a way that we could reword that to also say that we're in the midst of re-establishing like a downtown organization or something, because that is one of the current things that's happening at the moment. And I do think, you know, the downtown parking is an issue, but it's also an issue because of the lack of the ecosystem of downtown. Like, we don't have the economic structure downtown to support a larger scale parking. We kind of put the parking thing in place before the downtown commerce is really up to par to where it should be, in my opinion. So I just wasn't sure if there was a way that we might be able to reword that.
I would say any one of those opportunities or challenges
Yeah.
could be an opportunity or a challenge. So I think they're kind of both
Okay.
in a sense. So
And from a city manager's perspective, that's
yeah,
that
so
how you-
you're looking at each one of those to say, okay, what are the issues and what are the potential solutions?
Okay.
Who needs to be involved? So I think the parking is no different than any of the others
Okay.
in there.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean the only other thing I would say would be in the homelessness. Let's see. The only thing I would add to it would be the desire to explore new initiatives and partnerships and maybe expand current ones. We have a ton of different organizations in town. And as much as I do think exploring new ones is always good, I think also reinforcing what we do have and trying to work with them more directly to fit the needs.
Yep.
That would be the only.
I think I tried to capture that to say that there's a lot of different groups involved with that, but it's your profile. I'm happy to make any edits that you want.
I don't know how everybody else feels about that. Those are the only two things that I had. If people agree with that at all, if not.
Well, you want to have that last sentence, so it says, council expresses a strong desire to explore new initiatives and partnerships in addition to expanding the current support.
Yeah. Reinforcing the existing relationships, and I'm kind of thinking out loud. I'll be honest when it comes to this moment. When it comes to it, rebuilding or not rebuilding, but directing current resources as well.
Re-engaging.
I mean, this is a work study.
Yeah.
I'm thinking out loud.
I like the expanding.
Expanding.
I like expanding. The first way you said it was, I thought, perfect.
Yeah, so the council has expressed a strong desire to explore new initiatives, expand existing.
No, explore new initiatives and partnerships
Okay,
in addition to expanding the current, whatever you call it, strategies or partnerships or whatever word fits there. It's expanding.
I mean, and we can put it to a vote on the council on how everybody feels about it too.
We will.
Okay.
We just got to get our wording down first.
expanding existing, looking for the magic word.
Is it agencies?
And I'll be honest
Existing,
too. I mean,
expanding existing relationships.
I'm very much so asking you as a city manager, like if you were to look at that and read that, would you? I know you also wrote this, so I'm sure there's going to be a.
Well, I wrote it in part.
Okay.
You wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was most of you writing it. I just took your words and tried to summarize them. But I'd say the existing is kind of already there. The city has partnered with local nonprofit organizations and Douglas County to develop coordinated strategies to respond to the growing need. So I think that part is already there. If you're going to add anything, it might be, I could probably wordsmith that sentence a little bit.
Yeah. The only thing I would like to see is say, in addition, would be maybe vocalizing or emphasizing our current amount of organizations we have. Like, I do feel like we have quite a few organizations that are helping out.
And I do have a substantial list of the folks
Yeah.
that are we're partnering with you all, and I will use that when I'm actually talking to people. But we're kind of limited on how many words we can put into these profiles, and we're not trying to overwhelm people. We're just
Yeah.
trying to give them a general sense of kind of what the issue is.
Yeah, if there was a way to move a word or two to emphasize the amount of organizations or groups we have, just to kind of reinforce, like, yes, we want new partnerships, but you're not starting from scratch. We got a lot. There's definitely room to grow there too.
Yeah, I think I can reword that sentence in a way that captures that. If that's the desire of council, I think I can come up with something that.
Let me run this one by you. If it says desire to explore new initiatives and expand current partnerships.
That's good by me.
So it's a desire to explore new initiatives and expand current partnerships.
I mean, the only thing I would say is that I would like to see some sort of emphasis on the amount of like the volume in which we do have people wanting to help and participate. Like, we do have quite a few. You even said you have quite a list, right?
I have, Yes, several organizations that were discussed during the stakeholder interviews who partner with the city or are involved in those issues, yes.
And I mean, granted, this is my first time being on a city council here, you know, in Roseburg. I would assume, though, that we have quite a few resources, more than some of the other cities our size. Would you say that from your
I would say
perspective?
that is the case, yes.
So I think that might be an asset to emphasize, is that we do have quite a few partnerships. We have more partnerships than maybe other cities our size. So they're starting off on a strong foot there, and we already have connections with them. That was
So-
the only critique.
I think I could fit in, if you're talking about just the volume of the existing organizations or entities that are working on this issue, I could probably fit that into that sentence. I just, off the top of my head, I don't
Yeah.
to do that. I could fit that in that sentence.
I would like to see an emphasis on the volume, but that's it.
How about using the word many? The city has partnered with many local nonprofit organizations. Zach, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm on board with I'm on board with letting you do what you think is right for reaching out to other city managers. You are going to be a better filter than I am when it comes to that. I would just like to see, like I said, the emphasis on the many that we do have, if that makes sense.
Gist of what you're asking is to convey to potential candidates that there's not just a couple of organizations that,
Yeah,
so,
that we have kind of I mean, maybe abundance is the wrong word, but we definitely are doing okay when it comes to the amount of
Yes.
people wanting to participate and help.
so if that's important to all of you, if you will allow me to come up with some language to convey that, I would put that probably in that sentence that I just referred to.
All right, so give me a show of hands if you're okay with that. He will wordsmith it and come back, okay?
And because we're not launching till May 19th, I can turn something around pretty quickly working with our profile writer that will capture, I think, what it is you're asking. And then I'll send it back to John, and then he can send it out to you all. And we can get just kind of a thumbs up, so to speak. Obviously, we got to be careful with having conversations, serial and stuff, but if there's any red flags with the language, then you could let John know. And then he could let me know.
Okay, anything else?
I have something.
Tom?
Over on compensation and benefits,
Yes.
where did you come up with 185 to 220? And can that be changed? Or should we change it?
Do you want to know where I came up with it?
Yeah.
Where I come up with that range? That's a market survey that we did that included cities in Oregon only. Wilsonville, Forest Grove, Newburgh, K Falls, Ashland, Milwaukee, Grants Pass, Hermiston, and that average total compensation for those cities is $221,000. That's the average total compensation. So not just base salary, but other
Yeah.
things as well. So you're competing, essentially we're doing a national recruitment, so you're competing with other cities across the United States, but we didn't base it on other cities other than ones in Oregon that are roughly your size that you would be competing against for city managers. That's the market that you're competing in right now.
Yeah, I wonder how the council feels about that. If we should accept that or say
Well, keep in
more.
mind, it's just a range.
Yeah,
You would base your offering salary based on skills, qualification, and experience. So that just gives you the flexibility to negotiate with whoever you choose as a city manager.
yeah. I wonder if we have to offer top dollar to our city manager.
I think you'll find you want to be in the range so that you get experienced people applying. Because usually what happens if you have experience and you're thinking of moving, you're going to obviously look at the salary range and you want to see if it's going to be comparable to what they currently have or a little bit higher. And you don't want to show up to somebody and end up with a pay cut. So you want to be in the ballpark so you can get quality people apply. Ellen.
So I've
you're-
got a question. I don't know if anyone sees my hand. Can I speak?
Yeah, Andrea just pointed out your hand's up, so it's your turn.
Okay. Thank you. How about if we don't include the lower end of that range and only include the higher end of the range and say up to? In case there's someone that maybe looks like they might be a pretty good candidate, but they could use a little bit more experience.
Zach?
I'll be honest. I mean, I think when we're talking about a national level and what we're recruiting for, I really do think a comparable wage to these other cities, if we want top tier skill set, I think that needs to be where it's at. To be honest, as I've looked at other cities, that's pretty close to what it goes to. I mean, I don't think we're going to necessarily land at the top tier of that, most likely. But Roseburg does have some stuff to work on, and I think it's going to be a thing that it's going to be worth it. Like, we're going to need to have a pretty healthy balance there.
Did you guys hear my comment? You did. Okay. Ruth is nodding her head. Okay. So I don't necessarily disagree with Zach. I'm just wondering what's the benefit of including the lower part of the range rather than just saying salary up to, and just listing the higher part of the range without putting a floor on it.
The range just gets you the type of candidates that the higher end would get you folks that have a lot of experience. The lower end would be for folks that maybe they're assistant city managers or they don't have that level of experience yet in a bigger city. So you're negotiating with someone, an individual that has certain skills, qualification, and experience. So the range gives you the flexibility as a city council to negotiate within that range.
Okay, so you don't think saying with salary up to $220,000 depending on experience would be adequate?
I think it's kind of splitting hairs, to be honest with you. I mean, if someone's applying for the job, they're probably going to want to know what the low end of the range would be. I would guess that would be a question that people would reasonably ask.
Okay. I would disagree, but whatever the rest of council wants to do there, but
The reason why I think it helps having the high and the low is because if you don't have the low and the person shows up and we have agreement, hey, we'll take this one, and then we say, okay, well, it's 160, and they turn out, wait a second, I didn't know it was that low. I thought it was going to be 180, and here we are saying, well, this is what it is. Just so you're aware, we had somebody here that we went to offer the position, and we had the high and the low, and then that person said, okay, and then said he wanted it higher than what we had listed. And so I told him, I said, well, you knew going in that was the top of the range. And so don't go through and all of a sudden at the very end say, hey, I'm willing to sign the line and here's the contract and all that stuff, but it's too low and I want higher. And so that's a case where we're at the opposite. And it was critical, I think, in our position to say this is the highest and this is the lowest. So here's the range. So don't come in at the end and say, oh, by the way, it's too low when I needed to be higher than that.
And I totally agree with that high end of the range. I just don't see why we need the low end of the range if we say depending on experience. But I completely agree with you on your point there, Mayor.
To Ellen's point, I think the reason I would like to see the 185 and the 220 on there, being as the averages that you said that you had pulled for all those cities, to be honest, I feel a little slimy just saying the high end. I feel like that's kind of baiting the hook for somebody. We're not Newburgh, we're not Forest Grove, we're not any of those cities. We have different needs, and those are, I would assume, some of the cities that have that higher wage. I think showing that it's going to be some sort of range there. I mean, even with my own research I had done when it came to, and I would assume that anybody that's running for or trying to apply for this position as a city manager will do similar research to what I had done. When I looked at it, there is absolutely a wage gap between our cities and the cities up north, like when it comes to Southern Oregon and Northern Oregon. So I think having a little bit more of a solid range in there to say it could be between these. Because to be honest, I mean, 185 in comparison to Klamath is still pretty high, and I think that's going to be a healthy thing to have to show that our low is still on the high end.
Others? Jason?
I would just reiterate kind of what Zach's saying. I like the range of having 185 to 220. Kind of gives you an idea and a frame of what you're going to be working with.
Anybody else? Ruth?
Yeah, I think that if somebody wanted to come in and is looking at it and maybe they want to take a little bit of a pay cut and they're willing to come in knowing what that bottom tier is good. And maybe, like you said, an assistant city manager may say, okay, I'm ready to make that next jump, knowing that, at least this caveat is there, knowing that it's worth the risk. So.
Zach?
This is a question just from your experience here. So to me, like as a business professional, if I was going to be looking at something that came with some sort of language like this when I was going to be moving places, if it had that range there, the people that would be looking at that lower number, to me, would be people that are either looking to step down from a larger city to maybe have a simpler life, something here, and they need to know that that wage fits into what they're looking for, or somebody trying to step up into that next rung, like the assistant managers. Would you say that that's who you think is going to be aimed at more of that lower tier?
I would say yes to one of those, but not probably to the other. I would say you're probably, if you're looking at the lower end of that range or the mid part of that range, you're looking at somebody who's an assistant city manager that hasn't managed yet, but is ready to make the move. Or you're looking at a city manager currently who's maybe managing in a much smaller city, hasn't had the opportunity to manage in a mid-sized city. Those would be the ones that you would be negotiating probably toward the lower to the middle end of that salary range.
Okay.
Somebody coming from a like-sized city or a bigger city, stepping down maybe because they want to move here, well, they still got years of experience managing mid-sized and larger cities, so their salary expectations are probably going to be in line with the upper part of that range.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, I would definitely like to see the 185 kept in there for the potential of finding somebody that's hungry and wanting to move up in that, for sure.
So let's check. If you want to keep the low and the high in there, will you raise your hand? Okay, we'll keep the low and the high in there. And the benefits, I'm assuming if they hit on the benefit because it's underlined in blue, then it'll show you the other part of it.
We did not use any language about other benefits like car allowance or anything, because that's all negotiated as part of the contract, so.
Okay. Anybody else?
Oh, Larry?
Tom?
I have some things I'd like to say about a new city manager and what sort of requirements they should have. And it involves, do they have a business background? Are they independent thinking? Are they friendly and humble, good listener? Now, is that just something that we should make determination of when we interview these people, or do you do that when you interview?
I'll be using the profile that you've adopted as a council to screen candidates in terms of traits. And then I would say if those are important attributes for you individually, that when you're interviewing candidates, you should kind of measure them up in regards to those things that you're concerned about. The ones that ended up in the profile were ones where I felt like a majority of city council had agreed to those traits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we can relay that at a later date.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other ideas, suggestions? Okay, we do have audience participation. Is anyone who wants to come forward and speak on this brochure in terms of ideas or suggestions for the brochure?
Can I, while they're thinking about it, coming up to the dais, I just want to make sure I've captured what it is that you want me to change. So timber capital of the world, not the nation. Altered UGB, not expanded. And then some language on the volume of groups involved in the homelessness issue in Roseburg. Those are the three things that I'm taking back to change, correct? Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's call anybody from the audience that want to come forward to speak on the brochure. And what we'll do is let's make sure we understand what's going to happen now. So you're going to go make the changes, send them to John, you'll send them to us, and if we have any suggestions or comments, whatever, individually respond back to John.
Yes, so yeah, he could just blind copy you what I send you, and then that way you're only responding back to John. So if there's major concerns about that language, then you just let John know. I think I'll capture it fine, so.
And then if everything's fine, then 19th, next week.
We will launch it on May 19th. I will send John an email letting him know that it's gone live, and then we can share links and stuff. And then it'll be active for 5 weeks. And I'll be in constant communication with John, give weekly updates on candidates that are applying, and we'll just keep the communication at a high level.
And then when you launch it, do we have the website or whatever so we can just look at it?
Yes.
That the other city managers around the country can see?
Yeah, there's a long list of folks that this goes out to, so yes.
Maybe just send us one or two so we can just see what it looks like out
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to, or I can send it to John and he can send it to you as well.
there. Yeah, okay. Okay, anything else? All righty.
Good to see you all again.
Good to
Look
see
forward
you.
Working
and
with you. Take care.
Safe travels back to
Thank you.
Portland tonight.
Beautiful drive.
There we go. Okay, it's 6:35. We're going to take a break and we'll start at 7 o'clock. Okay, it is 7 o'clock. If everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Zach, would you lead us? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our city council meeting this evening, Monday, May the 11th. Let's begin with roll call.
Tom Mikulek. Ruth Smith.
Here.
Jason Tate.
Here.
Andrea Zielinski.
Here.
Ellen Porter.
Here.
Katie Williams.
Here.
Zach Weiss.
Here.
Shelley Briggs Loosely.
Here.
And just so everybody's aware, welcome, by the way, for being here. In the last two meetings, we adjusted the schedule a little bit. This time I need to follow the schedule like it is because we have two items that we have to make sure we get to, and those are the fee adjustments and the second reading for the zone and annexation. So those will occur, and then we'll end up dealing with the immigration enforcement item. So it'll be following the pattern that's on the agenda. And also, before we start the proclamations, I want to introduce to you our new News Review reporter. So Andrew Griffin, he's right there. Raise your hand again if you don't mind. There's Andrew. So we no longer have Pat Moore. Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause. And then also, just so you're aware, I guess it's no longer the News Review, it's NR Today. So be aware of the change, NR Today, and Andrew will be our reporter for the city business. Welcome, Andrew. All right, so number 3, letter A, EMS Week proclamation. And Jen, where are you? You're way back there. Okay, I'll read it, and then you can come forward and say a few words at that podium. Thanks. Whereas emergency medical service is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventive medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services team, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore I, Larry Rich, Mayor of the City of Roseburg, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th through the 23rd as Emergency Medical Services Week. How about now, a round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. We're honored to serve this community. We are grateful for the trust you place in us each and every day. On behalf of all of EMS personnel, thank you again for this recognition and your continued support of EMS. Thank you.
Thanks. And then they'll want to get a picture, so come forward. Thanks. And the next one on the agenda is the Public Works Week proclamation, and Ryan, you'll be talking about that one. Okay. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Roseburg. And whereas these infrastructure facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Roseburg to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in our community. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now therefore I, Larry Rich, Mayor of the City of Roseburg, Oregon, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th to the 23rd as National Public Works Week. How about a round of applause?
Mayor, Council, thank you for recognizing the 59 employees that make up the City Public Works Department tonight. These employees are dedicated to protecting, maintaining, and improving the public's infrastructure. The Public Works Department is made of multiple divisions encompassing administration, engineering, and parks and recreation. Our water production department, including our treatment plant, where last year they produced 1.8 billion gallons of water and sent it to this town. Our water distribution crew, maintaining 200 miles of pipe, 21 pump stations, and 11 reservoirs, a very complicated water system for the size of our population. Our street maintenance division included annual street maintenance projects, road striping, and sweeping of our road system, removing nearly 700,000 pounds of debris off our roads. The street maintenance division also maintains our citywide storm system, and including capital projects that were completed this year on West Harvard and West Military. The airport division includes ground maintenance that is also done by our street department, as well as capital projects. And this year we completed the Taxiway A extension project, and we're nearing completion of the security improvements at the airport. The last one is kind of exciting, Parks Maintenance Department. 3 capital projects this year is kind of rare for our Parks Department. It kind of got stacked up because of other issues, but completion of the tennis and pickleball courts. The Brown Park expansion is well underway. The street crew also helped with the construction of that. And under construction right now is the mountain bike trails at Sunshine Park. So again, thank you for recognizing these folks that get stuff done for the city every day.
Okay, we're on number 3, letter C, the council consent with the charter rules. And in your packet, you notice that the rule is there in terms of if you're going to be physically gone out of Roseburg for more than 30 days, then the rule states you have to have council consent or you'll forfeit your position. Ellen is in Montana. She probably will be back before the 30 days, but just to be safe, we put it on here so that we can talk about it and provide that consent just in case it goes past those 30 days. Ellen, did you want to add anything?
I certainly could real quick. As everybody knows, I am working a big project over here for Roseburg Forest Products over in Montana, and it has brought me over here quite a few times. Got a lot of contractors that are demobilizing right now after doing a bunch of winter work, and so it's pretty imperative that I can get that wrapped up. And so would like to have council consider, providing an exception, or I don't know how quite we want to phrase that, to this this 30 days. It would be a lot easier for me not to have to drive all the way back over there for a day and then have to drive back over here to finish getting the contractors demobilized after their winter work out here.
Okay, does anybody have any?
And I'm happy to answer questions.
Anybody have any questions? Are we ready for a motion?
I move to approve Council Ellen Porter's request to be absent from the city for a period exceeding 30 days pursuant to the Roseburg City Charter.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think Ellen does a really good job by attending on screen. And I think she's real attentive to what's going on here.
Okay. Anybody else? Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. We're on number 4, commission reports. Anybody have a meeting? Shelley?
We had a homeless commission meeting on May 4th. We completed the tent camping rules, going through that. And we have a resignation that has come forward since then. And so I need to make a motion to move to accept Betty Hyatt's resignation from the Homeless Commission with regrets.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Anybody else have a meeting? Are there any ward reports? Zach?
It's not so much a word report, but I know we did the proclamations and the acknowledgement. I just wanted to acknowledge a local group of people that are taking their own time and initiative to better Roseburg, and it's a group on Facebook called Beauty the Burg. I believe Beauty in the Burg, my apologies. But a couple of them are here, and they're actually doing a really awesome thing and getting out and using their own resources and trying to improve our community. So I just wanted to put out the acknowledgement for them. They're doing it kind of everywhere, so it's not really so much a ward report as it's for the whole city.
So they're here today?
There's a couple of them here, yeah.
So can we have you stand so we at least say thank you, if you don't mind? Any other ward reports? Ruth?
Well, I understand there's a cleanup going on. Is it this next weekend downtown?
Yeah, there is going to be some cleanup that's happening downtown with Ken is helping me organize it. Well, I would say Ken is doing the footwork, I'll be honest, but we're working together on it.
I'm out of town this week, so I can't join. But I just want to say these guys have done this, 2 years in a row now, getting everything all spiffed up and cleaned up downtown where they just power wash for hours and hours and hours. So they all deserve a big a round of applause too. Thank you, Ken.
Volunteer?
It's next Sunday at 1 o'clock is when we're going to be meeting downtown, and anybody can reach out and connect with either Ken or I, and we haven't figured out exactly where we're going to be doing. Usually last year we did a lot of Jackson Street, and so we kind of pick and choose based on the year and what needs to be done the most. And Ruth was also there last year pressure washing for quite a few hours too, so she deserves that round of applause as well.
Got it. Okay. Okay, number 5, we're on audience participation. Now, the way this one's going to work is we're going to pick up those that are not here for the ICE discussion. So we'll pick up those, and then we'll end up using the audience participation when we get to the ICE discussion. That's when we'll pick up the group that wants to speak on that topic. So far for the audience participation on a non-agenda item, I have one person, and that's Kira Zuvala. Hopefully I said it correctly. She is the new chamber CEO.
You did a very good job saying my last name. Thank you. I just wanted to come and say hello. My name is Kira Zavala, and I am honored to be here tonight as the new president and CEO of the Roseburg Area Chamber of Commerce. I wanted to take a moment to introduce myself and say hello and share how excited I am to be here and be part of the community and this new chapter for the Chamber. Roseburg is a place with deep roots and tremendous opportunity, and you can feel the pride here in the businesses that have served this community for generations, and the new entrepreneurs taking chances on their dreams, and in the people who show up every day to make Roseburg better. As I step into this role, my vision is simple: stronger business, stronger community, stronger Roseburg. The Chamber's role is to be a connector, a convener, and a champion for our local businesses, but more than that, we have an opportunity to help build momentum, to bring people together, support economic growth, strengthen partnerships, and create a chamber that reflects the future of Roseburg is working together. That future will take all of us. It will take collaboration between city, business leaders, nonprofits, educators, residents, and community partners, and it will take trust, fresh ideas, and a shared belief that Roseburg's best days are not behind us, but they're ahead of us. I believe deeply in the power of strong chamber. I've actually worked in the chamber industry for 9 years, and I'm actually leaving tomorrow to go teach a class to other chambers in Montana, actually. And I believe that a strong chamber and a strong city cannot happen if we don't work together. When businesses are supported, communities thrive. When people feel connected, they invest, and when we work together with purpose, we can create the kind of community where families, workers, entrepreneurs, and future generations can all succeed. I have sent an email to all of you this morning inviting you to our membership luncheon, and I am proud to announce that we are kicking off a new program called Roseburg Connect that will be a monthly business after hours connection meeting. So thank you.
Thanks, Kara. Okay, we're on numbers.
Mr. Mayor, I sent council an email today that had the link if you wanted to sign up RSVP for the connections for this month in June.
Okay, thanks. So we're on number 7, resolutions, the annual fee adjustment. Staff report.
Sorry, I'm multitasking. I'm trying to remember which hat I'm supposed to have on right now. Good evening. Before you tonight are 2 annual fee adjustment resolutions that update the city's master fee schedule effective July 1 of 2026. This is a routine item that typically comes before the council each May. These adjustments are tied to formulas that council has previously adopted through prior resolutions. This year, the applicable indexes are the CPIU West, which was 2.9%, and impacts certain fee schedules under airport, fire, planning, storm drainage fees, and monthly water service charges. The construction cost index was 2.72% this year, and that impacts system development charges for parks, stormwater, transportation, and water. These are formula-driven adjustments intended to help the city keep pace with inflation and service delivery costs. There are also a few policy-related changes I wanted to highlight. First, under business permits and licenses, staff is proposing an increase to the OLCC special occasion event permit fee for events held on city property from $10 to $25. We're also proposing a new $25 fee for the OLCC special occasion events on private property. In the past, we have not charged for those. This better reflects the administrative staff time involved in processing those applications, including required background reviews. Second, under community development, staff is proposing revisions to the appeal fees for dangerous building abatement and nuisance abatement matters by establishing a $250 cap for those appeals. This is intended to create better consistency across appeal fees in the master fee schedule. Outside of those changes, most of the adjustments you're seeing tonight are automatic annual increases. Because water fees were originally adopted under a separate resolution from all other city fees, you have 2 resolutions before you tonight. Staff recommends adoption of both resolutions, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can we cherry pick the fees? before we pass them all, can we say, well, we'd like this one changed?
That's a maybe, because some of those fees are adjusted by previous resolutions, and we would have to pass a new resolution to be able to cherry pick those particular fees. So it's going to depend on what fees you're talking about.
So there's a road to changing them, right?
There is, yes. It's a longer road, but yes.
Anybody else? Questions? Zach?
My main question actually has to do with how the information's presented. Last year, when we got these, at least the one that I went and looked back into my emails and found, we had highlighted portions where everything was adjusted. And just for clarity's sake, this isn't as clear to me. I've tried reading through it multiple times to try and understand exactly what was adjusted and what wasn't adjusted. Is it just the notes that you have above in certain aspects that are being adjusted on them, or are those just the, there's the italicized bit of information on some of the pages?
Yeah, so the notes above are telling you which fees are rounded based on resolution. You are absolutely correct. It is not showing you last year's fees and this year's fees and which ones are adjusted by CPIU and which ones are adjusted by the construction index. In the past, I've heard some feedback that can also be confusing. So what I'm hearing you say is this presentation of it isn't the preferred method, which I'm happy to make note and make sure in the future that I bring that to you. I was attempting to simplify and make it less confusing, but what I'm hearing you say is that's not necessarily hitting the mark for you.
For me, it absolutely, and I don't know if everybody else on the council feels this way, but it definitely made it harder for me to really discern what is and is not being adjusted and by how much. And I know in the past it didn't include the previous. I printed off one of the ones from the previous, but it at least showed what was highlighted. So showing that some were highlighted in yellow and some were highlighted in green.
Yeah.
So I remember there being a conversation around certain ones being new ones, certain ones being adjusted ones.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, thank you for that. I will say that in the first resolution, for example, under the business permits and license, which would be page 6 of 20, in attachment 2, if you go down midway on that page, the OLCC section, you'll see the special occasion events on city property, and you see $25 per application. That was previously $10. And the one the one after it on private property, previously we had no amount there at all. And so the new amount is that $25.
And then, so none of the other things in the business permit and licenses are being adjusted?
That is correct.
Okay. But then going one page earlier on the airport facilities, is everything on the from
So
rent,
on
lease
the
rates monthly down on that sheet? Is all of that being adjusted by the percentage?
So on the airport fees, so the rent/lease rates annual, so above the line, the where it says 81 cents per square foot, previously that was 79 cents per square foot. That has been adjusted. As you go down towards the bottom, what I can tell you is in that section where it explains previous, I'm going to say, rules based on the resolution. The corporate hangar space and aviation suites, that has been adjusted, but we don't round it up. The 2 lines above it, so additional north end corporate hangar parking space, that has been rounded based on how the previous resolutions prescribe that. The storage unit J, that is the storage storage unit J and the security deposit refundable are the only two fees on there that are not affected by the CPIU.
I would definitely like to see a clear distinction on what is and what is not being adjusted on this. Absolutely. I would also like to see what they were being adjusted from and to. I feel like anytime an adjustment is being asked of anything, it's appropriate to show the public what was and what it will be.
Absolutely, and the public currently has the existing fees available on the website. I hear you, you would like it to be more readily available on one form, and we can absolutely do that. But for transparency, the adopted fees are on our website. These are not on our website because they have not been adopted, and they will be placed on the website, and notice will be provided to all customers that they'll go into effect July 1st.
Okay.
If adopted. I'm getting ahead of my skis.
Yeah, and I know I'm supposed to be asking questions here. It's just for me to make any sort of decision in regards to upping fees. If it's not clear to me what I'm updating, I have a really hard time voting yes on anything that I can't actually understand.
Okay, what about others? In the past, we used to get the redlined version and the current version, right? We used to get two of them.
I'm hearing the feedback that I need to reinstate that in my future endeavors.
Well, I was just curious, do we need both of them or just the redlined one? So you can see that this is what it used to be, this is what it currently is, versus current ones.
We need a clean one for the resolution.
So you'd always have to do both of them.
Yes.
Okay, so give me some feedback, everybody. You want to have both of them or just the cleaned up version that we have to have? What do you want to do?
I'm with Zach on this one.
So just as a point of order, the CPI, the direction on what the fees do has been previously decided. So if you're deciding that we're not going to take that direction, then we need to know that. If it's just we want to see it, then we need to know that. But the airport one, I will caution, was after threats of lawsuits and other things. So before we dive into airport ones, we would want to be very, very careful. Those ones went through a lot of litigation. Thank you, Jim. Prior to us setting those. So if we could leave those as they are, I would recommend that. The rest of them were set so that we kept up with CPI with a cap, so that if it ever went, some of them are 3, some of them are 5, depending on if it's a SDC. So we've had years that CPI has been higher than that, and we have not gone over the 3% or the 5%. And so we've actually fallen behind because we never caught up from those previous years.
And I think the discussion more is just to see what it was alongside of what it currently is, rather than a discussion of is it 2.7 or 2.9 or whatever. Zach?
Yeah, just for clarity, I actually, as far as the numbers and the percentages, I mean, when I'm reading that, and why we picked the number that it is and what we're basing it off of, that makes sense to me. But the clarity for me to understand what fees and what are not, even Amy just explaining which ones were and which ones were not affected in that, is not clear to me as an individual that's going to be making a vote on whether or not to pass this. And I would like to see more clarity for myself, but also for the constituents.
And I'm just trying to clarify, we didn't pick anything. Those are resolutions that previous councils have adopted as direction. So it's not staff saying, hey, this is what we think. These are what previous councils have told us to bring to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree as far as you're talking about the actual percentage and why the numbers are what they are.
Yes.
Yes. I'm talking entirely about the one that we got last year that had highlighted things that was showing what was and was not adjusted.
I just wanted to make sure, because you said what we picked to bring or something, and we didn't pick anything. We just followed the direction that previous councils have given.
Yeah, I think it's just the red line.
For my clarity, is just in order to make any sort of decisions, I would like to be able to understand what is being adjusted. And I appreciate the why. After reading through it, I can understand some of it, but it's not as clear as I would like it to be for myself.
Okay, so let's figure out what the majority here wants to do. We have the option of saying in the future, you're gonna get the printed copy like you see now, and then in addition, you're gonna get another set which has the red line through, which shows you that this is the old number and here's the new number. So if you would like that, where you get 2 sets, will you raise your hand so I know where we're at? Okay, we'll get 2 sets. Now, the next question is, do we need to do that for this one or not? How soon does this one have to be approved?
That's my question to the council. Normally, we approve it at our meeting in May, so that we can give lead time to constituents of a month that new fees are coming as of July 1. But I will take council's direction.
Well, we don't meet in May. We do meet pretty close to the, whatever, the second Monday in June, whatever that is. So you don't quite have a month to tell the new people on July 1st.
And some of the people that we're telling in particular are the airport fees. We're normally notifying them a month ahead because they have payments to make monthly on their leases.
So are we going to make a mess of it if we ask for it to see this back in the first meeting in June with the red line stuff, and we'll vote then?
I will take your direction.
Okay, where are you guys at? We can wait until June and see it redlined and then vote on it? Or we can vote on this one tonight? Tom, it looks like you want to say something.
Well, I'd like to make the correction for next year. I think we can go with this and then next year. But I also would like to see the change.
Okay, well, we know for next year we're going to have the change, so it'll be both. The question is, what do we want to do now? We can wait until June and then notify the individuals. July 1st will be a change, or we can vote this in as it stands tonight. Katie, you're up.
I would be okay with making it for next year, just because I think that the notification is important.
That's what I need to know, where the majority's at. Jason, you're up.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I think it's already been established as using the CPI at this point. So I do want to see both in the future, but I'm okay moving forward with it.
Zach? All right, and Tom?
I would like to see it before we move forward. I think it's fair to give that information as well. And I understand that they can go pull this up and then side by side on their computer pull up the existing fees, but I don't think that that's what transparency to the community looks like, putting the work on them. I honestly think it should be a thing that we should have, and if we can start transparency now, I would start it now.
Okay. Tom, did you have your hand?
Councilor Porter
Ellen,
had-
it looks like you're up.
Thank you. I'm okay waiting until next year to make the change. I think there's 2 sides of this transparency, and one of them is adequate notice. So I'm okay waiting till next year to make the change.
All right, raise your hand if you're willing to wait till next year to make the change, and this year we'll have it notified as it is. So if that's what you want to do, raise your hand so I have some idea what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we will leave it as is for this year. Next year we'll make the change. Anything else for questions on this before we vote on it? All right.
Actually, a question. Is this something that you can give to us with the changes, like email it to us just so that we have it in case people ask us questions, or is that something?
Yeah, if we'd have known, we could have brought that for you tonight if somebody would have let us know, maybe like this morning. So yes, we can get that to you.
Okay, that would be helpful. Thank you.
I might have a question. Is this the time I should offer out my cherry pick? Might say.
Let's hear what it is.
There's one I'd like to mention. It's the hotel motel occupancy tax, which is 8%. And I think the state charges another 1%. That puts 9% on people who come here and stay in our motels. I'd like to see that reduced to 5%.
I think there's state law on this one. Is that correct?
So this one's maybe listed in the fee schedule. It was not adopted as part of the fee schedule. I'd have to do some more research into that. I know it's in ordinance, so wasn't prepared to answer that question. I don't think this is the mechanism to do that.
Because that's not on here, right? Any place?
Yeah.
Where do you see it?
Page 11, towards the top, second entry. Hotel motel occupancy tax, 8%.
I know you could not like raise it by raising it as part of this fee schedule. It would take a separate action. So
I'd like to see it lowered. Encourage more people to come to Roseburg.
Okay. Well, at least we know where what your item was. Appreciate it. Okay, any other questions? Are we ready for a motion? It looks like there's two of them.
I move to adopt resolution number 2026-08, amending resolution number 92-13 regarding fees.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And motion carries 7-1. Do we have another? Oh, sorry, were you no? Okay, so motion carries 6-2. Ruth and Zach said no. All right, next motion.
I move to adopt resolution number 2026-09, amending resolution number 91-18 regarding water fees.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And I'm going to go by a show of hands this time so don't mess it up. So all those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And those opposed? Okay, motion carries 7-1. We're on number 7, letter B, general fund off-street parking.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and council members. It's that time of year again, as we're quickly approaching the end of our fiscal year, that we want to make sure that we are in full compliance with Oregon budget law. One of those requirements, of course, is that we have to maintain the adequate appropriation authority to cover all of our expenditures for the fiscal year. And as we fast approach the end of this year, we are taking a look at if there's any areas of weakness or where we might be put into a little bit of jeopardy, where we might exceed those appropriations. And we have identified two departments within the general fund and the off-street parking fund, in which there may, I want to stress that, there may be some over expenditures unless we need to address that at this point in time. And so just kind of want to talk a little bit about it. In the general fund library department, at the end of April, they had a remaining appropriation or a budget of 18.85%. At that point in the year, you expect to have a remaining balance of 16.67%. So it's a little bit under budget still. They still have more appropriations than that's there. However, we haven't accounted for all the appropriations that would be incurred during the month of April. Those still come in later than April. So as those come in and we close it out, that gap would actually narrow even more. So as we went through and took a look at the projections to the end of the fiscal year, which is just at the end of June, we recognize that we're very, very tight, and we do have the possibility of needing a little bit more appropriation authority to ensure that we remain in compliance with Oregon budget law. But there's primarily two reasons for that in this fund is that we had a reclassification of the library director position this past year, and also we had some project overruns in our building and grounds line items. And so because of those two things, that's kind of put us to where we're really tight, and we'd just like to make sure that we remain in compliance with Oregon budget law. And so we're proposing a transfer of $10,000 from the general fund contingency to the general fund's library department, just to ensure that we have adequate appropriation authority there, so we don't run in violation of Oregon budget law as we close out this year. The second one, as I mentioned earlier, the second department in the municipal court is somewhat of a similar situation. At the end of April, they had a remaining balance of 18.97%. Reminder, just 16.67 is what we're looking at for the remainder of the year. And so we're getting close, just like we were in the library department. In this case, we actually had some budgetary projections. We failed to tie some PERS benefit payments to a couple of our court employees, which caused an overrun within the personnel budget portion of that department. However, we've been able to offset that by savings within the materials and services. So right now, we're fine, we're under budget, and we may end up that way, but there's a real opportunity if we haven't captured everything adequately in our projections that we may exceed that again. So we just want to make sure that we stay in compliance with Oregon budget law. And so likewise, we're asking for a transfer of $10,000 from the contingency, general fund contingency, to the municipal court department. The third one, the off-street parking fund, at the end of April, they had 24.56%. This sounds much better than the other two funds, but one of our huge and main cost drivers in that, of course, is our off-street parking fund contract, or off-street parking enforcement contract. We haven't received the bill yet for April. We won't get that until middle of this month, and because there's always that delay and so forth. And so once we get those in, we project that that's going to be really close. And so as we do the projections throughout the year, we're looking at less than $1,000 still coming under budget, which is extremely tight. And so once again, we would like to not jeopardize ourselves in violation of Oregon budget law. So we're asking that we transfer $20,000 from the general fund contingency into the off-street parking fund, just to give that appropriation authority. I'd like to point out that that sets up the budget adjustments so that we get it covered. However, in this case, for example, if it ends up that we don't need to transfer that money, that we do have sufficient appropriation authority in there in the end, we won't transfer those monies. They'll stay within the general fund. They're only there to set up, and we'll only transfer what is required in order to comply with Oregon budget law. Likewise, as the appropriations adjustments for the two departments within the general fund, that's all stays within the general fund. And so there isn't any real financial implications or impacts there. We're just kind of making some adjustments to make sure that we remain in compliance. And so with that, the resolution that's been prepared tonight adopts these proposed changes or transfers of appropriation authority so that we can ensure that we remain compliant. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Anybody have any questions? So, for example, if the library is only short 5,000 and you have 10,000 allocated, do you only transfer 5,000 or you transfer the whole 10?
Well, we'll set up the appropriations that way, but because those funds stay within the general fund, it doesn't impact your fund balance at all. It remains the same. So in that case, it doesn't matter. The only one that really matters is when we're transferring outside of the general fund to the off-street parking fund. That one, we will only transfer exactly what we need to do to cover.
Got it. Okay, anybody else, questions? Are we ready for a motion?
I move to adopt resolution number 2026-10, authorizing an appropriation transfer for fiscal year 2025-26, affecting the general and off-street parking funds.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. We are on number 8, and this is the second reading for the zone change. And then, Jim, I need to check, does Shelley need to step down on this one, the conflict? It does. Okay, so just slide your chair back up against the wall. That'll work. Okay, let's have a second reading.
Ordinance number 3625, an ordinance annexing 1.78 acres of property near the southern end of West Tarragon Drive, adjacent to the Oak Meadows subdivision, withdrawing the property from the Douglas County Fire District 2 and amending the Roseburg zoning map. This is your second reading.
Are there any questions? Do we have a motion to adopt 3625?
I move to adopt ordinance number 3625.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Tom Mikulek, Ruth Smith,
Aye.
Jason Tate,
Aye.
Andrea Zielinski,
Aye.
Ellen Porter,
Aye.
Katie Williams,
Aye.
Zach Weiss,
Aye.
and the record reflects Shelley Briggs Loosely has recused herself from this vote.
And carries, therefore ordinance number 3625 is adopted. We're on number 8, letter B, and this is the immigration enforcement ordinance. And so this is one where a number of you has signed up. So here's how it will work. We'll begin with our staff report. We'll have a chance for council to ask questions. And then at that point, we will go to audience participation of those that have signed up. And it'll be a 2-minute max for those that have signed up. And then we'll go from there. Staff report.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Rich and members of the council. I'm here tonight regarding ordinance number 3626, which adds section 1.04.050 to the Roseburg Municipal Code regarding compliance with Oregon sanctuary laws. This item is before the council based on its own direction. At the April 13th, 2026 council meeting, the council discussed immigration-related topics. At the April 27th, 2026 meeting, the council directed staff to prepare this ordinance. And at that direction, this ordinance has been brought forward to formally acknowledge in our municipal code that the city of Roseburg is a city within the state of Oregon, and that Oregon is a sanctuary state. The ordinance does not create new policy. It codifies the city's compliance with the sanctuary laws the state of Oregon has already enacted. Specifically, the ordinance adopts by reference 3 sets of existing state statutes: ORS 180.805, ORS 180.810, and ORS 181A.820 through 181A.829, which governs how local public bodies and law enforcement agencies interact with federal immigration enforcement. It also includes forward-looking language so that as those state laws are amended over time, the city's code remains automatically aligned. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, we're going to move to audience participation. And we're going to go in the order that was signed up. Remember, it's 2 minutes total. You'll need to come to the podium there and speak close to the microphone so we can all hear you. And when you hear the bell noise, whatever you want to call it, when that goes off, that's your 2 minutes. And so please sit down right away so that we can make sure we get everybody there. There's 18 of you, so that's 36 minutes. And so we want to make sure we get through everybody. First one up is Krista Colley.
I'm here. Excuse me. I'd like to start my time now. There was a rude comment behind me. I'd like to start my time now. There was a rude comment behind me. I'm here to speak about why I feel this ordinance is so important for our community. I almost didn't come here tonight because I was afraid of the hatred I saw spewed about the meeting online against libtards, Salem, Portland, and people who aren't from here. I'm white, I'm a citizen, and I'm from here, and I was afraid to come to Roseburg today. I read with interest the report by Experience Roseburg describing recent success in bringing much-needed tourist dollars to our area. Surely, as a city, we should be doing what we can to ensure that this growth continues and that what visitors remember of our area is its beauty and rural hometown feel. No good can come from blighting that peace with masked, armed ICE agents operating outside of the Constitution or a modern-day concentration camp disguised as a detention center? Why would visitors return to a place where they may be faced with violence? Why would visitors from other countries risk coming here when they could be detained, as it has already happened in other communities with heavy ICE presence? Countless hours are spent in meetings across agencies and government offices here, focusing on the local economy and its inability to grow beyond a weakened timber industry. Tourism dollars are crucial. Consumers vote with their wallets, and Roseburg will be on the losing side of the ICE equation.
Lori Kubler.
Good evening. My name is Lori Kubler, and I've been a Roseburg resident for 16 years. I'm interested in the progress that the council is making on this resolution regarding ICE in our community. At the last meeting, we heard comments to the effect of, let's just wait and see what happens. Well, on May 5th, at the Border Security Expo in Phoenix, Trump's White House advisor of border security, Tom Homan, said the quiet part out loud. He assured attendees that mass deportation is coming. His direct quote was, "You ain't seen shit yet. This year will be a good year. Mass deportations are coming." He then added, "You're going to see more ICE agents than you ever have before," end quote. I'm not so naive as to not realize many community residents will believe this is great news in their narrow scope of thought. They themselves, it's okay because they believe they are not coming for me. But that's where people get it wrong. They are coming for you when the cost of healthcare premiums skyrocket to fund ICE and CBP. They are coming for you when rural hospitals close to fund these illegal and immoral actions. When food prices rise due to the mass deportations of migrant field workers, they are coming for you. When your neighbors and their children lose SNAP benefits and cause food insecurities throughout our communities, they are coming for you. We are all affected by the aggressive behaviors of ICE and their treatment of our immigrant friends and neighbors. It is imperative that Roseburg make a strong statement opposing ICE in our city and to be an example of strength, unity, and action. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Diana Larson.
Good evening, council members. My name is Diana Larson, and I'm a resident of Douglas County. Tonight, I want to bring something urgent to your attention that has happened since the last meeting. ICE is no longer just looking for space in Roseburg. They have moved to the next step. A few weeks ago, you were told about a request for information where ICE was simply asking if space was available. That has now become a request for a quote. That means ICE knows what they want, and they know, and they are now asking vendors to name their price. We have obtained federal contract paperwork confirming this. Bids are due in 8 days on May 19th. If a contract is awarded, ICE could have a signed lease in Roseburg as early as June 1st. That's 21 days from tonight. This is a public document. It is available on the federal government's contracting website at sam.gov. The contract number is included in the written materials we are submitting to the council tonight. The contract also allows ICE to start small and expand at any time with no additional approval required. We ask this council to move this ordinance forward with urgency. A lease could be signed in 8 days. Each meeting that passes is another opportunity for ICE to establish themselves here before any legal protection is in place. We ask you to treat this as the emergency that it is and move as fast as the law allows. Thank you for your time tonight and for taking this seriously. This community is counting on you. Thank you.
M.A. Hanson.
Hi. I, of course, am going to speak a little bit. Can you hear me? I guess. On ICE. Tonight, I want to respond to a comment made at our last meeting about what it means to be a welcoming community. Some on this council had suggested that opposing an ICE facility means we are opposed to the individuals who work for ICE. We need to make it clear about what we are actually opposing. ICE has drastically lowered its hiring standards. They are putting agents on the street before background checks are even completed. Then when those checks are back, some of these agents are being fired because they have criminal convictions, including sexual assault and child abuse. There are also documented ties to some white supremacist and militia groups amongst ICE personnel. And the results speak for themselves. Over 100 American citizens were detained last year based on how they looked or what language they spoke. Nearly 3/4 of everyone currently in ICE custody has no criminal record. ICE agents have shot and killed American citizens on the street. We do not welcome that in Roseburg. We ask this council to make something clear tonight. Roseburg is a welcoming committee to all people. That statement should never be used to suggest that we also welcome an agency with this record of harm. We ask you to put that distinction on record. Thank you.
And Fasig?
Good evening. My name is Ann Fassig.
Thanks.
I'm a resident of Roseburg, and tonight I want to address a question that came up at our last meeting. If Oregon's sanctuary law already exists, why do we need a local ordinance? Here's why it matters. State law tells you what you must do. A local ordinance tells our employees exactly how to do it. Without one, a police officer or city employee who gets a call from ICE has no local guidance. They are left to figure it out for themselves under pressure. An ordinance removes that uncertainty. It also matters because without a written directive, our city employees are left to interpret state law on their own in difficult situations. An ordinance gives our city manager and city attorney a clear tool to work with. It takes the pressure off of them and gives everyone in the city a consistent standard to follow. The city of Cottage Grove learned this the hard way. They failed to follow Oregon's sanctuary law, and a community organization took them to court. A judge ordered them to stop. That lawsuit could have been avoided with a clear local ordinance. The Oregon Department of Justice has published a free toolkit that tells cities exactly what language to use. Our city attorney does not need to start from scratch. We ask this council to pass an ordinance that gives every city employee clear written instructions. The legal roadmap already exists. We just need the will to follow it. Thank you for your continued attention to this matter.
Susan K. Anderson.
Good evening, council members. My name is Susan K. Anderson, and I'm a resident of Douglas County. Tonight, I want to share what several other Oregon communities have already done to protect their residents from ICE. Waldport, Oregon, passed a resolution in December of last year formally opposing any ICE facility or activity within city limits. They committed to pursuing every legal option available to keep ICE out. Waldport has a population of just over 2,000 people. If a town that small can take a stand, so can Roseburg. Forest Grove, a city roughly the same size as Roseburg, passed its sanctuary ordinance in January of this year in a 6-1 vote. Their ordinance directs the city manager to develop specific policies and training, so every city employee knows exactly what to do when ICE comes knocking. They did not leave that decision up to chance or individual judgment. Beaverton passed their ordinance just days later. It prohibits city employees from detaining anyone on behalf of ICE and from sharing any personal information with federal immigration enforcement. That language has already been reviewed by their city attorney and is available as a starting point for any city that wants to follow their lead. Roseburg does not need to start from scratch. Full details of all these ordinances are available in the written materials we are submitting to this council tonight. These are Oregon communities. They looked at this same issue and they acted. We are asking Roseburg to join them. Thank you for your time. We are here to help in any way we can as you move this process forward.
Tracy Maxwell.
Good evening, council members. My name is Tracy Maxwell. I'm a resident of Roseburg. Tonight I want to talk about how Newport, Oregon, responded when they faced the same threat that we are facing right now. When Newport learned that ICE was considering a facility in their city, their mayor issued a public statement the very next day. She said, "The well-being and safety and values of our community are the highest priorities of myself and our city council." Their city manager immediately began work with the state federal representatives to understand their legal options. They held a public meeting 2 days later. Newport acted quickly, they acted together, and their community showed up. ICE walked away. The facility was never built. What made Newport successful was that their elected leaders and their community moved together in the same direction at the same time. That is the model we would like to see Roseburg follow. We have a council that has already shown courage by voting 5-2 at our last meeting. We have a community that is showing up tonight. We are asking this council to keep moving forward with that same energy and commitment. Thank you for your service to this community and for listening to all of us tonight.
Donovan Loy Steiner.
Good evening, Council. My name is Donovan Loy Steiner. I am a student here at RHS, and I've lived here my whole life. I was born here, and I love this community, which is why the possibility of ICE coming here sickens me. I'm happy that Council has chosen to write an ordinance reiterating state law, but I've seen this story before. It will likely not stop ICE from showing up in the first place. And when they do, we need to be able to respond. In Forest Grove, a town of just about 25,000, similar in size to Roseburg, ICE showed up. Forest Grove quickly had to dramatically increase funding for their local police department to monitor ICE. They had to essentially burn money just to monitor ICE agents because ICE was breaking the law more than it was enforcing it. Now, I'm a student. I'm no businessman, but I am not in the business of burning money. This is why it is imperative we train our city officials on how to deal with ICE before they get here. I asked City Council to consider committing to training city officials on how to deal with ICE. I asked the City Council consider committing to programs that help our undocumented citizens and their dealings with ICE. And I asked City Council to commit to taking action beyond the ordinance that is already proposed to protect my community, to protect your community, and to protect all of our community from the all too frequent abuses of both the law and of people that ICE represents. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully I won't butcher this name too bad. Lil Lynn Fifield?
Thank you, Council. It's Lolene Fifield.
Thanks.
I've been in Roseburg for a long time, but I want to tell you about my family because everything we do here is so important to families. My son is an African American. He's black. He just retired last year from 60 years of service with UPS driving truck. He remembers clearly driving through Oregon, and he remembers the idea of a sundown community. When I moved up here, it made him kind of nervous. He always said he would never come back. It worries me because he's only come once. He's married and he has 4 children, my grandchildren. My grandchildren have never missed a summer being here in the many years that I have lived here. They come every summer. They love our mountains, they love our rivers, they love the trees, they love my house on the river in Roseburg. They love everything about it. They go to the fair every year, and they can't wait to go to the half shell. But my family is different. The other side of the family is Mexican. Mexican-American, and now we have African-American. And they're in Los Angeles, and they've had the experience of watching their friends, teenagers now and in their 20s, being taken from their homes in Los Angeles. For them, coming here every summer, even though they are now young adults, is still a respite, and they don't miss it. My oldest granddaughter married a Guatemalan man who is not a birthright citizen, but he is a citizen. They're a little nervous given the discussions that we have had about what's happening with ICE here, about coming this summer again in August. I hope that doesn't happen.
Thanks. Julian Gomez. Julian Gomez.
Hello. My name is Julian, and I'm living in Roseburg. This is the 4th consecutive meeting our community has shown up to list the atrocities ICE has been committing, the families they're destroying, and the children they are abusing. I have yet to hear a credible argument for an ICE presence in a county that is 96% white. Imagine my shock after all of our testimonies, after the vote to pass the ordinance, we still have people suggesting we welcome an ICE agent. I sincerely ask these people, did you do any research to support or disprove what we've been saying? Are you unable to absorb and reflect on a single thing we've said? Our pedophilic government is using ICE to terrorize this country while we actively destabilize Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, and many more places. If you don't like immigration, stop bombing other countries. Only fools think this has anything to do with safety. There are over 170 cases of U.S. citizens being arrested by ICE. At least 18 people have died in their detention centers, and they have detained over 6,200 children. We know you can create and defend an ordinance that has teeth because there are several Oregon cities that have already done so. There needs to be tangible consequences for local public bodies that work with ICE. Since we have people who have obviously not done the research, let's get into some real life situations. Liam Conejo Ramos is a pre-kindergarten student who was kidnapped by masked ICE agents. His family was granted asylum, was attending their court hearings, posed no safety risk, and yet Liam and his father were still shipped from Minnesota to Texas like animals. What does become a citizen the right way even mean when we have cases like this? I can go on and on about their atrocities. Make no mistake, Council, we live in a time of monsters, and the things you are willing to defend at this moment is what will define you and what kind of community, country, and world we want to live in.
Next one is Shirley McSpirit.
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Shirley McSpirit.
I'm 90 years old. My family moved from Southern California 80 years ago to a small farm on Roberts Mountain Road where I live. I've seen a lot of changes over the last 8 decades, but an ICE presence is not what I want to see. Recently, I was doing my grocery shopping. In the produce department, I came upon an ICE agent, also doing some shopping. He wasn't wearing a mask, but his attire and weapons were very intimidating. I was uncomfortable continuing my shopping, knowing an ICE agent was in the store with weapons. ICE agents patrol in unmarked cars and in groups walking through neighborhoods hunting for a particular type of our population that a certain person doesn't think belong in this country. These people are pulled from fields where they are picking your fruits and vegetables, are grabbed off the streets, pulled out of their car. Agents will break into a home and drag an elderly man zip-tied with little clothing on into the cold. Agents will barge into a daycare and drag out a zip-tied worker. Those children have to have been very traumatized. These kidnapped people are confined to large facilities located around the country. What is their fate? Will they be confined for the rest of their life or deported at some time and dropped off in another country? Whether children are separated from their parents or also taken, they will be traumatized for the rest of their life. You're not safe if you're white. You could be shot in the face while driving away as instructed by ICE, or shot in the back while face down on the ground and zip-tied. Apparently that's okay, because those killers are not in jail. ICE in its present form is inhumane and barbaric. ICE in its present form should not be happening in our United States of America.
Sorry. Susan Board. Susan Board.
I'm Susan Board. I live at 480 Southeast Oakbriar Avenue, in the same neighborhood some of these other people live. I've been in this county since 1978, and born in Los Angeles. And I'm wondering, I didn't prepare a statement like these people, I'm just winging it. But I'm going to tell you, why does it take the most vulnerable people, 90-year-old women, all of us women speaking against this? Why is that? The men feel more secure because they're big and burly. Well, I'll tell you what, it takes the most vulnerable people, women and children, who have been held for months and years under inhumane women and children situations without proper health care and without feminine products. I think we're picked because we're on I-5. It's real easy to catch people going up and down the freeway. And the people we gave a medal to tonight, an honor, are they going to be around if we have ICE here? I'm a proud Catholic, and I believe in Pope Leo. We should be promoting peace, not kowtowing to a bully, deranged man. The man is senile.
Ken, you're next. Yep.
Good evening. American workers are getting poorer. This is a fact. Minimum wage, federal minimum wage should be $20 an hour, but it's $7.25. It is an influx of people that are exploited to keep wages low. And so these people are not being done a favor by keeping them here. The American citizens are not being done a favor. And so actually ICE operates according to laws that were passed by the government.
Everybody, I need you to be respectful.
passed
Everybody.
by the government. So anyway, if we want,
I'm going to ask, hold on, Ken. I'm going to ask everyone in the audience, I need you to be respectful. I don't care if you like what you hear or not. You need to be respectful. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, if they operate by laws passed by the government, and we know that nothing is operated perfectly, but they're still doing a job. They may be doing a service to the people they removed. But in any case, the American people are underpaid because there are other people they can exploit. That's what's happening. Thank you.
Roger, you're next. No? Okay. Diana Bailey.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Diana Bailey. I've lived in Roseburg 30 years. I would just like to make 2 points. First, I want to express my sincere gratitude that you have listened to your constituents over the last few weeks and listened to our concerns about rental of space in Roseburg for an ICE facility and have decided to take action. I commend your courage. Secondly, I want to address the topic that was brought up, whether we have a need for an ordinance clarifying Roseburg's support of the state sanctuary law. And indeed, as you've heard, the training of the local employees to manage in the face of ICE. This ordinance, as I see it, is needed to give a clear message to the DHS and all concerned parties that ICE and their brutal tactics are not welcome here. Thank you for your time.
Next is Max Smoot.
I've lived here in Roseburg my whole life, and I just I have a prepared thing, but I want to just point out that I appreciate you guys' time and stuff. You all. The fact that I've never seen this much participation in the public process in my entire life is in Roseburg is pretty remarkable to me. I want to point out that I applied to be on the Homeless Commission and the Budget Committee. I didn't get anything back on that. I want to know if you've made a decision on that. I also want to point out that ICE is largely synonymous with the police. We've been allowing the police to terrorize people who are impoverished in Douglas County and Roseburg for quite a long time. And I appreciate the time, but I think since there's more people and more people trying to speak, you need to allow more time for public participation and maybe even respond directly to some of the public participation that we're seeing. Hey, what do you think, guys? We need a little more time than 2 minutes to get some stuff out. And we probably need to have some actual dialogue and discourse. So we started the People's Homeless Commission, and we know that homelessness is a very intersectional issue. It affects everyone. We're all here living in Roseburg among this insane public health crisis that you all are allowing. And you know, we are also allowing. But we come in and we try to make some points here, and you all seem to be completely disregarding the public input that we're seeing. So, being somebody from here, I'm a very concerned citizen, and I'd like you to listen more.
Max, I got to cut you off. Thanks. Juliet D. Forret.
Good evening. My name's Juliette Duforay, and I am a voting resident of Roseburg. Today, I'm here to speak in support of the proposed ordinance and share a bit more of what can be done to give the ordinance more impact. I appreciate that the ordinance affirms our city's desire to follow state law that protects our communities. It is also good to see that the ordinance explicitly states that the city understands that ordinances like this help residents to feel valued by our city. In order to follow through on what was said by a city council last meeting, however, I feel that it is necessary to add language giving guidance to city employees and elected officials regarding what to do if they are approached by ICE and how to securely handle sensitive data, including a commitment to follow through with trainings on the above and how to essentially include that in the ordinance. Sorry, lost my place. So to help with this, I've sent a copy of the Attorney General's model policies regarding immigration to the info@cityofroseburg email. The goal of these policies are to provide practical guidance to public bodies and was required to be created by ORS 180.810. There we go. We need to be sure that anyone this ordinance and state law apply to has the tools to follow this law to the best of their ability. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Okay, so that completes the sign-up list, and so our audience participation is now closed, and the next step is for council for questions. So anybody have any questions or follow-up comments? Tom, it looks like you're ready to speak.
Yeah, has our staff and police department obtained any training on how to comply with our state laws and ordinances? We know.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Has our staff and police department received any training on how to comply with our ordinance?
So our ordinance just codifies state law, and our police department is aware that they are not, and Jeremy can come up and answer that, but they are not allowed to provide any assistance for the purpose of immigration enforcement unless there is a judicial warrant involved.
Thank you.
That is correct. In addition to the state law, we've already adopted internal policies that line up with all statutes.
So you guys have had training. I think that's one of the things that he's talking about. Is it more than just knowing the law? Have you guys received any training on how to deal with ICE or any of that kind of stuff that's happening around them?
So when you say training, to me it sounds like a structured event where everybody sat down and prescriptively told what to do. No, we haven't done that. We have established directives and policies that guide them on what to do. In my 20 plus years experience, I've never had an interaction that would pertain to this, but we are prepared to deal with it.
Anybody else? Questions? Go ahead, Ruth.
So on the second part of his question, how about staff and administration?
So for us, I don't know what our involvement would be. It would be the same. We don't release any information that we wouldn't release to the normal public unless we had a warrant.
Tom?
Yeah, say an ICE officer came and asked how to find a certain individual. Would we be barred from giving that information, or would we give that information, or what's the scenario there?
Yeah, we're not permitted to assist in any immigration applications. So in the event that we were to experience a situation where ICE came to Roseburg and asked us specific information, they would have to explain to us why. We wouldn't just give them any information. If it's not a criminal investigation, we won't participate in those activities unless there's an actual order signed by a judge.
In the event you observed an ICE officer acting wrongly, would you be able to intervene in any way?
So wrongly is kind of a trick question. If they are not violating somebody's rights by exercising federal law, we aren't there to intervene. Does that answer that question?
Well, in the event you did see somebody's rights being walked upon, would you try to intervene, or would you call them out on it, or what would be the scenario there, and being there a federal officer?
So it's really difficult to answer the question without having the specifics. So hypothetically, if a federal agent had somebody detained and they were utilizing the authority granted to them, we would have no involvement. If there was chaos where there was somebody being harmed, so what we would do is what we would do in any situation: get the scene resolved and then figure out what happened. So make the scene safe and evaluate if we have an issue or not. I have zero experience with federal agencies coming to Douglas County and doing this, but we know that we're not to participate, and it puts us in a little bit of a tricky situation because there's a state law that says one thing and a federal law that says another, and we're sworn to do both, but we're following the state statute first. And now with this ordinance being put into place, it reaffirms that.
Anybody else? Are we ready for a motion? Or no, this is first reading. Are we ready for first reading? So if we are, give me a nod of the head so I know that we're ready to go. Ellen, where are you? Nod the head if you are. Yeah. Okay, first reading.
Ordinance number 3626, an ordinance adding section 1.04.050 to the Roseburg Municipal Code. This is your first reading.
Okay, next thing is going to be department items, and for everybody, if you want to, we'll take about a 2-minute break. You're welcome to stay and watch the rest of the meeting, or you are welcome to stand up and leave if you like. We will start in about 2 minutes with the rest of the meeting.
Larry?
So we're on number 9, department items, and this is the Library Strategic Plan 2026 to 2030. Chris, it looks like you are up and we're ready.
All right. Good evening. I am Chris Wiley, Library Director, presenting our updated 5-year strategic plan for your consideration. And I do have a presentation that's going to take just a second to pop up. Can't believe it's been 5 years since we completed our first strategic plan. Time is flying by faster than I ever could have imagined. We started work on updating our plan in October of 2025. The project was led by a consultant, Stephanie Chase of Constructive Disruption out of Portland. We had a strategic plan, a planning committee that came together, and we'll talk about them in just a second. But part of our process was getting community input. We had a community survey that we received more than 350 responses. We're really thrilled with who responded, people from throughout the community. We had interviews with 25 groups and individuals. Stephanie conducted a focus group with the Library Commission, and then we had opportunities for youth and adults to engage in some questioning, and that was done at the book sale, elementary schools, at the Boys and Girls Club, and in the library. Our strategic planning team were Library Commissioners Paige Bentley and Marcy Tisano, community members Steve Barr and Lance Colley, Amy Nidus, our city recorder, and she's our connection with the City Administration Department and the Library Commission, and then Youth Services Librarian Aurora Rapp and I participated. A little bit more about strategic plans. They're really commonly used in libraries. You can think of it as just kind of an offshoot of what you did in your goal setting session. It's used internally to clarify the work that we're doing, to prioritize our work, what areas we need to grow, where we can focus. And that's really for staff and for the Library Commission as well as for community members. It highlights what we're focusing on, where we're prioritizing over the next 5 years. And so it's really meant to not look at everything the library does. Just as with the goal setting, that's only a small piece of what the city does. The same is true with the library. We're still continuing our day-to-day work, which is collection development, helping people at the front desk, helping people with computers. But when we get the chance to look at what more we can do, where we should focus some additional priorities, then that's where the strategic plan comes into place. And it really needs to be flexible enough to move with the times and changing community needs over the next 5 years. When you have a strategic plan, you have a mission statement that explains why we do what we do. We talked a lot about our core values, what's important to us as we do our work, and then we created priorities to focus our mission and goals that help support the priorities. Those are all outlined tonight, but our measurements of success, we do create metrics around these, and we do have annual actions, but that will all be created by staff after the adoption, which I hope is tonight, of this plan. And the Library Commission is updated annually on the work that we do going toward the strategic plan. And Stephanie really wanted us to get it on one page, and so we did. That is in your packet. And I'll break that down a little bit for folks. We did not change our mission statement. That was created with the first strategic plan, and things are branded that way. We feel really good about it, still feel that it's extremely relevant to the work we do. We promote community, inspire curiosity, and encourage learning. You see that on everything from the van to words on our mural in the library. We spent a lot of time on our core values and really shaped those into 4 main values. And I'm thrilled that we came up with people first. Our library is about books and about more than books. So we can cultivate a compelling and safe space. We welcome all community members and we seek to collaborate with community partners. We're reliable and relevant. Our library is constant in our community. Discovery. We connect people with ideas, information, and experiences that foster exploration and lifelong learning. And then my addition to the strategic plan was this one, joy. Our library evokes wonder for all. We then took those values, our mission statement, and we created 4 plan priorities to focus on over the next 4 years. And we'll talk about each of them. First one is ensure sustainable support for library operations. We want to make sure we have the resources necessary to support our services. That comes from the operating budget that was recommended for adoption last week. It also comes from grants and from community donations. We maintain an economically priced card for library users outside of Roseburg. Most people outside of Roseburg city limits do pay for a card. However, we provide free library cards to students who live or attend school in the Roseburg School District area, as well as full-time classroom teachers or school media specialists who teach inside the Roseburg School District geographic area. We want to assess opportunities for the library to have strategic regional library partnerships to help support the Roseburg community. An example of that is I'm the chair of the Southern Oregon Library Federation, and already we've had a couple of opportunities that have come up, particularly around programming, where we've been able to partner with other libraries. And then developing a rubric to evaluate existing and potential partnerships and collaborations, because we need to be very strategic about what we do given our capacity. We want to honor the library's unique role in the community, and this is what came up the most in our interviews, was how vital the library is as a gathering space, as a welcoming space for community members. And so we want to ensure that we have strong and visible support. I realize that the new goals that the city has adopted don't include the words public safety and livability, but I hope we can all agree that overall quality of life is important in Roseburg, and I think the library plays a big part in a piece of that. We will be celebrating the library's 10th anniversary in January 2029. We have lots of plans to celebrate big. And through programs and displays, we want to showcase our business community at the library. There's some great opportunities for connection there. Increase the visibility and celebrate the library's work with youth. I can't begin to thank and explain the work of our youth services librarian, Aurora Ropp. 60% of our checkouts of physical materials are for youth. That doesn't happen without her expertise. A couple hundred programs every year with thousands of participants. That happens because of her work. And then we want to provide resources that support our most vulnerable community members in using the library. And that's everything from our public computers and Wi-Fi to meeting spaces to collections that show windows and doors for all of our community members. There's just a lot of ways that we can connect with everybody in our community. We want to promote the library's resources, and so we're talking a lot about how we communicate what we do. And in particular, what we got back from the survey was most people hear about us and learn about what we're doing from Facebook, and we aren't giving it enough attention. So we are going to give it more attention. We've also did start a library program on KQUA, the River Radio. We have 2 episodes up there, and there'll be one every month. We are looking at how to implement a promotion plan for digital materials, because what the other thing that came out of the survey was people don't know that we have digital audiobooks and ebooks. My head just about exploded because I feel like that's what I do a lot, is tell people about this resource, yet I'm not connecting. So we're going to keep working on that. And then promote and continue to develop our Spanish language collection. We also want to enhance library services outside of the building, and a lot of that work is around our large print collection and working with services to the homebound, which is a growing and super popular program. We are looking at a pilot project to have remote lockers for pickup. That was another thing that came out of our conversations, was distance to the library is a challenge for some people, and our hours can be a challenge. So this would be an opportunity to get library materials at an off-site location 24/7. And then we always want students to have library cards, and we are challenged to develop ways for more students in the Roseburg School District geographic area to get library cards. The Library Commission discussed the strategic plan at their March 17th meeting and unanimously recommended that council adopt the new plan. Staff concurs with this recommendation. I am happy to answer your questions at this time. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Chris, did you have two groups of strategic teams working?
No,
You
we
have
had,
the one that's called acknowledgement. You have different people there compared to the other one that has the other team members on your strategic planning team. You got like six or seven on that, and then you have Amy Sowa and a bunch of others on the first one.
that was the first strategic
that's
plan.
the first one.
Right,
Got it. Okay.
right. So different team members, some were the same, which
Yeah,
was
I saw
great for kind of carrying over some institutional knowledge, but also some new folks with new ideas. And I thought it was a really good blend of both, best of both worlds for us.
Any questions? Who's the library? Katie, you're the library chair. I couldn't remember. You're the one for the motion.
I move to adopt Roseburg Public Library's 2026 to 2030 strategic plan.
Second.
Can't, any discussion? All those?
Well, I just want to say, great work. You always do great work, and I'm really excited about the direction that you're taking the library, and all the exciting things, and making sure that people get connected to the library is such a valued thing that we have in our community, and I'm so grateful that you're leading.
Anybody else? Discussion?
I'll second that.
All righty, let's vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Aye. And motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. We are on number 10. Any items to come forward? Nikki.
So I did some quick research, and I have to correct myself from earlier that hotel motel tax can be changed in the fee resolution, but I would hope that would be a longer conversation if that's something you want to entertain in the future. But because I was wrong and told you that's not how it works, I went back and looked, and that is how it was raised previously. So a correction there.
So it's possible to lower it then?
It is possible. There should be some research and some discussion prior to that coming up. It was done in its own resolution to amend the fee schedule as opposed to a part of the normal amendment of fees.
Hey, thanks.
Yes.
We started at 5% in 1983. We would not be in the times if we lowered.
What do you mean not be in the times?
In today's world and the cost of doing business and the revenue that the city gets is used for promotion of tourism and streets and lights and a couple other things. So I would be very much against lowering the 8%.
And because we don't have that happening tonight, we don't need to get into a whole discussion about, because if it is going to be lowered, it'll come back, and then you guys can all talk about what your position is on that.
Okay.
Check. Are we doing 2D also? 2A, 2H, and 2D?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Items? Okay.
But Larry, if I could say something real quick.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say Larry, Mayor. I wanted to, we've had such an outpouring of people showing up, providing testimony to ICE, and I wanted to clarify my position from the last meeting, if I could, really quickly. As you guys know, my main opposition was codifying something that's already codified. And if it makes people in the community feel better to do that, I just want to say I'm okay with that. My opposition was not necessarily substantive, but more administrative. So, thank you.
Okay, anybody else, items? All right, I'm going to read the script. The City of Roseburg Council will meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.660, number 2, letter H, letter A, and letter D. 2H is for consulting the attorney regarding legal rights and duties in regard to current litigation or litigation that is more than not likely to be filed. 2A is for considering the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent. And 2D is for executive session to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. Designated staff are allowed to attend the executive session, represent the news media, and all other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. And I'm assuming that applies for the media because we have 2D on the docket. So council will not make any decisions, and we will be done at the end of that. So we'll start in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Ellen, we're going to close out this Zoom, and then we will join into the executive session Zoom.
Yep, got it. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
And Andrew, just so you're aware, normally A and H you can stay for, D is the one that you can't. And so if you want, we'll do A and H now, and then you can split, and then we'll do D when you're gone.